collapsed one. Rather, it's to the west of the collapsed building. This is another self-built house. It's quite narrow. It's like a staircase. And on the side, that's a window letting in the sunlight. And below that window, that's one exit for the rescue corridor. Through this window, we can see a lot of things have collapsed. For example, the window made of stainless steel, and there are also a lot of floorings and bricks. Now, the search and rescue is going on, and as I said, this is a tough job. It's after all 8.5-story house, and it entirely collapsed. Just like sitting down completely. So to create such a rescue corridor, it's really difficult. Meanwhile, for such a toppled-down building, it's in a temporary balance, but this balance comes in a fragile way, and it's easy to be broken. Every search and rescue movement must be carried out very carefully, otherwise there may be some secondary harm to the helpers and those victims. Now they are clearing out those edged objects inside, and then they will observe the structure to see if it's strong enough, and then they will continue the work. After this first trapped person to be rescued, we will have a check of her. For example, we will take some protective measures to cover her body and especially her eyes. We see a lot of packages. For example, the hot water bottles and the saline water to support this person. The trapped one is a female. The firefighters found her in the afternoon at 2 p.m. on the 30th of April. And I am now about 3 meters distance from the trapped woman, and she is now lying down basically in front of those firefighters working around right now. And believe the firefighters and the trapped woman, there are 3 floors, 1 refrigerator, and a wall. After they work overnight, this wall has been taken down already, and they are now clearing out the refrigerators and the 3 panels of floors, and they are now checking the condition to ensure the strongness of this corridor. The firefighters are climbing up and down for entrance and exit. This is the #1 building next to the collapsed housing, and those things, like the debris, are falling down on the house on the east side. So it's a dangerous building right now on the east of this object, and it's very difficult to rescue. Our firefighters are now at the entrance of this corridor to confirm the safety. And one of the firefighters in the front is basically crawling down for the search and rescue, and the area for operation is very limited. According to one firefighter on the site, there is another firefighter working underground. He's engaging with the trapped person. Right on the outer layer of this house, Hunan People's Hospital and Xiangya Hospital dispatched their ambulances outside to stay on call. Once the trapped people are rescued out, they will be sent to the Xiangya Hospital for treatment immediately.
好的，现在是下午的3点21分，这个救援工作仍在紧张的进行当中。29号中午的12点24分，在位于长沙市望城区一栋自建房屋发生倒塌事故。
At 12:24 on the April 30th, a self-built house collapsed in Changsha. That accident led to 32 people trapped. Right now, 5 people have been evacuated, and now another trapped person is about to be saved. In addition, 39 people lost their contacts right now.
送到了我们这个生命通道的出口。好，我们救援力量依然在给我们被困人员在加油鼓劲，说你是最棒的，喊他要坚持住。
Our firefighters are cheering up the trapped person, asking her to hang on there.
以及争分夺秒的这个救援都是在支撑着
Every such encouragement and every
每
work
一个生命迹象，哪怕是再
racing
微弱的生命迹
against
象，
the
也是在
time
支撑着我们
is
救
to
援人员的意志。
encourage the trapped person. And even the faintest sign of life is supportive of all the firefighters.
好，我们看到现场救援人员已经在喊出来了，出来了啊！
The rescuers are calling out, "You're almost out."
好的，我们的担架已经准备好了，就在我们这个救援通道的出口的
Our
位置。
stretcher is
我们被困
getting
人
ready.
员，被救出来之后，
Lying
第一时
down
间就会
in the
会
exit of
送上
this
担架，
rescue
进行一些
corridor.
身体的外
Once
观
the
检查，
trapped person
包
is
括眼部
out,
保护以及身体
she
的
will
一
be
些防冻的
immediately
措施。
laid down on the
现在
stretcher
是
for
下午
some
的
physical
3
examination.
点23分，救援仍在紧张的进行当中。
Now it's 23
在我们的
past
画面当中
3
会看到
o'clock
一个银
of
白
May
色
the
的
1st,
支
and
撑
our
杆，
firefighters are
这
in
个叫做
progress.
液压顶杆，
And
也是对
in our
坍
camera, we
坍
can
塌
see
底的
a
一个支
silver
撑。
colored pole, and it's a hydraulic pole to support the collapsed structure.
那个抬担架的准备。
好。现场救援力量已经发出指令，喊抬担架的进行准备。
According to the on-site instruction, the staff members to carry the stretcher must get ready now.
好的，给大家介绍一下我们被困人员被救出来的这样的一个位置哈。我们眼前看到的
For
是
your
一个
information,
救援的生命通道，它是从这个
We are
坍塌
now
底里面
seeing
挖出来的一个生
a
命
life
通道。
corridor
救出来之后呢，会从这个出口被
is
抬上担架，
through the collapsed building,
倒塌
and
楼
the
房西
trapped
侧的
people
这样
will
的
be
一个
carried
建筑。
off by this
然后再
stretcher through this
从我们
corridor.
所在的
They
这
will
样的
go
一个
through the west side of the
通道，
collapsed
通
building
过
and
西侧的第2栋房
through
屋
this corridor where
底
I
下
am
的一个奶
standing.
茶店送出去
They。will go through the second building to the west of the collapsed house, and they will come to the exit through a milk tea store.
好，我们救援力量在确认担架是否准备好，已经准备好了。
Our rescuers are confirming the state of the stretcher, and it's getting ready.
这我这两的，嗯，好的，嗯，好的。
好的，我们的消防人员已经在准备好这个担架。被困人
Here,
员被
the
救出来之后
firefighters
会
are
放在担架上面，
getting
穿
ready
过
the
这样
stretcher, and once the
两
trapped
个
person
横
is
着的木头，支撑木
out,
头
she will be
被
placed
抬
on the
出。
stretcher, and they will come through the 2 wooden pillars to carry her out.
"这名被困人员30号下午被发现之后呢，我们的消防救援力量是争分夺秒，
After
一
she
刻
was
不停，
found
一
in
直
the
在
afternoon
进行
of
救援。
April the 30th,
因为救
our
援的难度
firefighters
非
have
常
been
大，
working around the
采
clock
取的
to
是
save her.
轻便的电钻机以及我
Since
们
it's a
人工
very
手扒的
difficult
方式
job,
相结合，来
they
进行一
carry
个清
a
理、打
portable
通生命
drill
的通道。
and
那
with
么为什么会
their
用这个比较轻便的电钻
artificial
呢？那是
work,
因为
they are
这
clearing
个
away
房
the
屋倒
dust
塌之后
and digging such a
形成
corridor.
的这
Why
样
are
的
they
一
using
个
the portable drill?
坍塌
Because
体，它的
after
内
the
部
collapse
其实
of
这
the
种
house,
临时的
this
平衡结构，
collapsed
这种平衡是
structure
非常脆弱的，
has
也非常容易
some
松动。因为
internal
如果大型
temporary
的挖机
balance,
来
which
进
is
行
very
操作的话呢，
fragile
很
and
有可能
susceptible
会
to be
破坏这
broken.
种平衡，
If
对我
we
们的被困人
introduce a
员造
big
成二
machinery
次的
for
伤害。
this work, it might
因为这
break
种
the
轻便
balance
的电钻，
state,
它的震动比较
and
小
that。will be a secondary damage to the trapped people. For such a portable drill, it has very
震
limited
动比较小，
vibration.
对于这种临时的这种平衡，它的改变也是非常小的。所以呢，这样也是对于我们
So
被
it's
困
not
人员
that
以及救援力量的一个保护。
influential over the temporary balance. It will protect the
那么当
rescuers
时
and the
发
rescued.
现这样一名被困人员的时候，大概直线距离是3米左右。
When the trapped person was firstly found, she had about 3 meters distance from the rescuers.
好的，这个救援还在进行当中。那么这样一名被困人员
The
呢，
rescue is going on.
目前根据前方救援力量反馈的一个消息，他的身体的这个生命体征还是比较
According to
平
the
稳的。
knowledge we've acquired, the vital signs of this trapped person is stable.
当时发现这样一名被困人员的时候呢，也是通过敲管的方式和他
When
进
she
行
was
了联
found,
系。
she
救援的过程当中呢，我们也
communicated
对他
with
进
the
行了一些
outsiders through
这个补
clicking
给，
those
同时也在安慰
pipes,
他的这个情绪。
and we've
目
offered
前根
some
据我们前方救
replenishments
援力量
to
反
her,
馈的一个
and
消息，
we've
他
been
的
consoling
情绪
her
还是
all
比
the
较
way.
平稳的，而且我
And
们
according
的
to the
消防救援力量
information,
也是
she is
每隔
in a
15
steady
分钟
mood,
就会对他进行一
and
次
the
这个
firefighters and the rescuers
联系，呼唤他，
will
让他坚
try
定
to
信心，
talk
一
to
定
her
会被
every
救出。
15 minutes, calling for her to hang in there and be confident about the result.
Ja油！
好的，我们在现场的消防救援力量对我们的被困者，也在一遍一遍的鼓励他，让他加油，坚定信
Just
心，
now,
坚
the
定意志。
firefighters have been encouraging the trapped person repeatedly asking her to submit her confidence and faith.
再给大家介绍一下我们现在的这个位置。我们现在所处的这样的一个位置啊，它是处于这个
Just for your information about our position,
第一栋和第二栋的中间。
we are now on the west side of the collapsed house. It's between number 1 building and number 2 building to the west of the collapsed house. The firefighters and the rescuers are now standing in the first building to the west of the collapsed house. And as you can see, there are huge damage done to the walls, even though it's next to the collapsed house. So it's a dangerous house right now. That's why, while digging this rescue corridor, they've done a lot in cementing this corridor.
那么等于下这个被困人员被救出来的这样的一个通道，是从我们眼前看到的这个生命通道的出口，然后被抬上担架，穿过这样西侧的这样的一栋房屋。这栋房屋非常的
Later on, the trapped people will be carried through the structure and go through this corridor. This position where they are standing right now might be a staircase. It's very narrow. And we can see a lot of collapsed parts from the opposite building through this exit. They will go through this building and arrive at the corridor where I am standing right now outside. I will try to step aside when they get out. Another firefighter just entered. He just crawled in because it's a very narrow space. After arriving at my position, they will go further to arrive at a milk tea store, and the ambulances are awaiting right now outside. Once the trapped person is gotten out, she will be dispatched to Xiangya No. 3 hospital for treatment. 今天凌晨5点的时候，这名被困人员，说，向我们消防 At 5 a.m. this morning, this trapped person told the rescuers that she was cold and thirsty, and in return, the firefighters have been consoling her, asking her to be confident, and they will surely do their best to save her. Now, everyone is encouraging her.
好，我们可以把镜头往下移一点，我们看一下我们现在我们消防救援力量
Now let's zoom down.
从画面当中我们看到
Let's look at the position where the firefighters are
木
standing.
头支架，这样也是对这个房屋来
And
进行的
we
一个加
can
固，
see
保证我
two
们现场作业
wooden
的人员的
columns.
安全。而且包括我们在
It's
现场也
to
看到这栋
support
房屋
this
里头啊，
structure
这个地
to
面上
ensure
全
the
是这种
safety
坍塌
of the
体，包括有
rescuers.
砖头，
And on
有
the side, we can see that
我
on
们
the
看到还
floor
有
there are a lot of
水泥板
collapsed
儿、
debris, for
地
example, the
板砖、
bricks
墙体等等
and the
这
floors
样一些坍塌
parts
体，在这个房屋里
and
面
the parts of the walls. Those ruins are still kept inside.
好的，我们的救援仍在紧张的进行当中。根据消防救援力
The
量
rescuers are
反馈的一些
still
信息，这
working
样一名被
tirelessly.
困人员他在底下，当时是一个
According
侧
to
卧
the
的姿态。
information we got,
这样的一个姿态呢，相
the
对于
victim
站着或
used
者
to lie on
躺
her
着，
side
它的面积更小一
below
些
the。ruins.
消防救援力量告诉我们说，
Compared
这
to
样的一个
standing
姿态
up
是
or lying
相对
down,
来说，只能说是
she
相
had
对
a
来说，它
smaller
是利于
area
救
of
援的一个姿
contact
态。
with the floor. That position is relatively easier for rescue.
好的，我们又有一名消防救援力量爬过这个支撑木头，抵达了这个现场。
Another firefighter crawled in.
我们刚才听到我们救援人员对我们被困人员一直在说鼓励的话，说我
We
们一
heard
直会在
just
这里。
now the rescuers have been encouraging the trapped person,
我们所有
saying
人
that
都
we'll
在这里
always be here.
等着你，会把你救出来。
We are all here for you, waiting for you, and we will surely get you out.
那这个事故发生到现在已经51个多小时了。
Up
对于
until
我们这个
now,
被困人员的意志、身体状况，
It's
可以说
already
都是一个
51
极大的
hours
考验。这个时
since
候
the accident
非常
happened.
需要
That's quite
现场救援力
trying
量的一
the
个鼓励和
patience
支
and the
持。
persistence of the trapped people, and they are in need of the encouragement and support of the rescuers.
有点劲。哎，好，非常好。加油！加油！哎，非常好啊，坚持住。努力一下，努力一下。好意思，好意思。再来一把啊！再来一把。再来一把喽！再来一把。没关系的。再把油，再把油。 这里，那块不行，那块不行，那块是。加把油，加把油。加油啊，加油啊！ 加油加油加油！拍你们的真实情况，用手机拍视频啊，拍视频，拍真实情况，拍长一点。
好的，大家现在看到的画面是我们设置在这个旧外面的一路机
As we
位。
can see,
被
now
困人员被救出来
we
之后，
station
被困
our
人员
camera
被
on
救出
the
来之后，我们
outside of
看到的
this
他将通
house.
过的一个通
Once
道是
the
首
victims
先出入
are saved
出
out,
到这个出口，然后被
we
抬
will
上
see
担架
her go
抵达
through,
穿过这样的一
first of
个
all,
西侧
the
的
exit
楼房。
on her stretcher to arrive at the west side.
通过西侧的第一栋楼房之后，然后通过我们现在所站的
After going through the first
两栋
building on
楼
the
房之
west,
间的走廊，进入到第二栋楼房，再
she
通
will
过第
pass
二
by where we are
底下一
standing,
层的
which
奶
is
茶
in
店
between the two houses, and
送
then
到
she
外
will
面。
go through the second building, and then after passing through the milk tea store in the first floor of the second building, she will be finally out.
好的，这样一名被困者是昨天下午2点多钟被发现的。
The victim was
被
discovered
发现之后
yesterday
呢，
at
初
2
步确定了
p.m.
一下他的这个位置，他大概是在我们消防救援力
After
量
the
前方向下
discovery,
直线距离3
they
米左右的
checked
一
the
个位置。
position of her,
然后
basically
上下的垂直距离是
right
在1
below
米
the
左右。
firefighters. She's about 3 meters distance from the firefighters, and the depth of her is about
这名被困人
1.5
员被发
meters
现之
below
后
the
立即
ground.
就采取了针对这名被困人员的一个紧张的救援。那么刚才也说到了，整个救援是采取这个一个
We've
小
seen
型
the
的
rescue
电钻
work
机等等这样一些小型的设备，以及人
kickstarted
工
since
手
the
扒的
discovery
方
of the
式相
trapped
结合来
person.
一
There are a
点
lot
一
of
点来推进
small
的。
devices like the portable drills, and also the rescuers use their own hands to dig the hole.
因为整个救援的难度可以说是非常大的。首先，第一个，整个救援的作业面非常的狭窄。我们看到
Since
前
this
方
rescue
的
work is
救
very
援人员基本
difficult
上都是趴在地
because
上
the
蹲在地上
operation
这样的一个方式来
size is very small. Basically, the rescuers have to squat or crawl on the
倒塌
floor
的楼房，
to
它其
move
实
on.
跟左右两侧的相邻的楼房是紧紧联系在一块儿的。
And
8层
secondly,
半的楼房直接垂直坐下。
this collapsed house is very close to the other two buildings, and the 8-storied house topped down squarely in the vertical direction, and especially the east wall of the building sitting on the west of the collapsed house has been damaged severely. So the next building is basically a dangerous one.
好，因为我们这个出口距离我们被困者的位置大概还有直线距离是3米左右哈，3米左右。虽然说起来好像很
Since
近，但
the
其实
firefighters
对我
have
们这样
3
的一个救
more
援是非常难的，
meters
因为
distance
挡
from
在
the
了这样
trapped
的一个
person.
塌体，它
It
是非常密
sounded
实的一
like
个
a
状态。
very small distance, but for the firefighters, that's a big distance because the ruins
好的，
are now
我们看
piled
到
up
这
very
2位
tightly.
被困者在鼓劲加油。
The firefighters are still cheering up.
"好的，我们的这个救援仍在紧张的进行当中，可能还需要一点时间。
Our rescuers are still working very
那
industriously.
接
They
下来
need
现
some
场
more
有什么
time.
样最新的进展？人员被救出来的那一瞬间，我们
Now,
随时联
what's
系。
the progress? And we will keep in contact once the trapped person is
刚
gotten
才我们
out.
直播的是湖南长沙居民自建房倒塌事故的救援现场。那目前呢
Just
救援还
now,
在
we
进
were
行
live
中
streaming
有
the
关救援的最
news
新消息，新闻
about
频道
the
将会持续
collapsed
关注。
self-built house in Changsha, and we are still keeping tune with the updates.
要体现在3个方面：一是倒塌建筑两侧相邻建筑受到严重破坏，随时可能倒塌，给消防救援人员和被埋业群众带来极大隐患；二是倒塌建筑有大量预制板、梁柱和砖块等物品，属于颓势坍塌，层层叠压，环境错综复杂，并且救援空间狭窄，只能进去。
It's a very complex environment, and it's a very narrow space. We have to allow only limited number of people to operate, just in case there might be some secondary collapse. We send 34 rescuers on site, and we don't allow some big and heavy machines for the operation. Otherwise, there might be secondary damage to the rescuers. In this case, our firefighters have to risk our lives and work around the clock to continue this work. Right now, for one trapped person, we are communicating with her. We hope to rescue her out as early as possible. And in the next step, we will continue to progress with our rescue 72 hours, and we will dispel all difficulties to save her. And please be reassured, our firefighters will do every bit we can to safely and soundly take the person out, and we will never give up.
一步了啊！和那个干，你俩把力放在一块儿呢啊！一起用劲，对，而且妹妹他俩喊价是，你们3个人一起用劲，自己蹬就得蹬一下，自己绷住劲儿啊！所以我们就来把那个空间留给他啊。好，然后伸展开。可以开始了吧？再来一次。好，1。不明了。应该。4。好。到哪里？钉子到哪里？没有钉子啊。没有钉子，这是铁皮。它就在冰箱里面嘛，有钉子。嗯。你把它这清一下。冰箱。不平它就出不来，必须要平它，不能车子出来，车子这个难度很大。
是我们能听到，这个。
脚下来呢，你提着裤腰啊，提到那块儿，然后呢，别人帮你拉手，我们后面拽你，好了吗？好了吗？平躺了吗？
哦，有点磕。
文毛请你看啊。
开心呐！
进行看一下现场的情况。
头在这边是吧？
好的，我们继续来关注湖南省长沙市望城区自建房倒塌事故救援的进展。现在是北京时间下午4点26分，经过52个多小时的救援，现在又有1名被困人员被成功救出。
我去，一点都不凉是吧？一点都不黑的。你们那边最小行吗？你们先哪？我们接后面。
好的，现在是北京时间下午的4点26分，经过52个多小时的救援，又有1名被困人
Okay,
员
now
被
it's
成功救出。
4:26 p.m. in Beijing. After 42 hours of search and rescue, another trapped person is evacuated.
我们在现场看到，这样1名被困人员，他的生命状态是
On the
比较平
site,
稳的。好的，现在这样1名被困人员
we see that the vital signs of this trapped person are stable and she is carried out on the stretcher.
好的，我们现在正在穿过这个支撑结构。
They are going through the supporting structure.
现在进入的是倒塌楼房西侧的第2栋楼房。
Now they are entering into the second building next to the collapsed house. They entered
再进
through
入
the
1
side
楼
door.
的一家奶茶门店。
They are now going through a milk tea store in the first floor. 好的，现在已经被救出，正在进行一个身体的询问。 Now she's out safely. And they're asking questions about her.
人员已经被成在对他的身体进行一个
Another
检测。
trapped person is saved out, and they are physically examining her.
现在我们对他进行适当的安抚。
And they're consoling her.
的好的，这困人员被成功，已经往外抬了。好的。 好的，我们现场所有的人员都在为这位姑娘加油。
All the people on the site are
今天长沙的
encouraging
温
her.
度是在18度
It's
左右。
18 Celsius degrees today in Changsha. We see the medics have prepared a quilt to cover her. All the people are cheering up for her. After 52 hours of intense search and rescue, she is finally successfully carried out. Now we are seeing the ambulance carrying this girl. She will be sent to Xiangya No. 3 hospital for further treatment. Hunan Province has organized a team of professionals coming from the Xiangya Hospital or People's Hospital, those professionals from several disciplines, in order to have scientific treatment of those rescued. And in this process, 52 hours have gone by. And in the final moment, when she was about to be carried out, her leg was trapped, and our firefighter went to her position alone to handle this difficult point, and she was finally moved out, little by little. And every worker on the site is working around the clock. Life was put first, and later on, the search and rescue will continue. And that's about the situation on the site, and we will keep you noted about the updates. Thank you, Li Yanjun, for the news from the site. Just now, we saw the news about the rescue of another trapped person in the collapsed self-built house, and she is the sixth one to be evacuated in this building. And the rescue work is going on smoothly, and that was a girl, and she was in a good shape right now. And on the side, we heard a lot of cheers and encouragements. I believe that the successful rescue of this person is also a boost to the rescuers on the site. We see hopes. We hope that more people could be rescued. And we will keep you updated in our news channel. They're using some small tools to dig around this rescue point, and according to our knowledge, they discovered 3 people from this point. They showed some life signs, and the firefighters are communicating with those trapped people. They need to go through some consolidation work. This is the first floor of the 8-storied building. It's like a corridor of this building. That's why this place seems very narrowed, and they are very carefully carrying in these instruments. We have invited some experts for the interview. We used the radar probe to discover the rescued people. We discovered 3 people, and we are seeing that the experts are negotiating over the best plan to save them. And for our viewers, we would love to share with you more information about the site. Just now we went through the corridor. After the collapse, this building is compacted, leaving us very limited space for the rescue. We must be patient. We must ensure the safety of the trapped and our rescuers. As you mentioned, this building used to be 30 meters tall, but after the collapse, it's only 6 meters tall. So that's about 1/5 of the previous height. That's challenging for the rescuers because it's compacted right now after the falling down. And I know you're doing the cement work to support this structure. Dear viewers, I am now on the site of this collapsed house. Just now, a trapped girl was saved and sent to the hospital for better treatment. Yesterday afternoon, she was found by the rescuers at 2:00 p.m. And after over 24 hours of work, she was successfully moved out. And now let's learn more about the position. And our cameraman will follow my step. The girl was carried out through this hole. And this is Jiang Aibing from this rescue team. Why is it so challenging for the rescue work right now? We just see a very limited and cramped space. It's challenging to save people from a cramped space. And now let's take a shot at the inside. Because of the collapse, the neighboring buildings have been damaged. They are becoming dangerous buildings, and they are on the verge of another collapse at any moment. So, in such a cramped space, for us to carry out the rescue, we have to first of all position any trapped person inside. And secondly, while paving the way for our rescue work, we have to cement this space just to avoid any secondary damage or collapse. Now we see a lot of wooden columns and the silver-colored poles just to support this structure in order to ensure the safety of the rescuers and the trapped people. And in the next step, we are going to probe for the position of other trapped people in order to have precise digging. And in the digging procedure, in such a cramped space, there might be a lot of uncertainties and unfavorable conditions. For example, we must be very precise in our probing to find out their location. If it's convenient for you, we can step inside. Of course. Now we will go inside for a closer look. It's indeed a very cramped place. Just now we were working in this hole. We had targeted rescue, successfully saving a female out. But in this process, we discovered that a lot of difficulties were encountered. First of all, on the outside in the surroundings, some uncertainties may lead to secondary damage. The rescuers and the trapped people might be hurt furthermore. And secondly, we are digging right now. In the dismantling process, we have to support the entire structure bit by bit. Those are the temporary supporting work. Why? Because for the rescuers, even one slight chance will require 100% efforts. Life comes first and people come first. That's our working mission. And we will not give up any slice of hope. But of course, to realize it, we need to conquer a lot of difficulties, and there are a lot of dangers hidden here. We have to judge by the signal coming from the trapped. And then we will reinforce the operating environment. In front of us, there are 3 panels of floors, and below it, a refrigerator was buried, and we found the trapped female right behind a screen, standing in between the female and the refrigerator. Of course, we successfully got her out, but it took us a lot of time. Just now, was she trapped by her foot? Yes, her foot was injured after the squeezing and the pressing of the wall, and her foot was severely injured, and also in the cramped space. While we were getting her out, there might be some friction against her injured foot, so she was in pain. And she was fighting against our move, but we cannot allow her to stay here longer because there might be secondary damage to her, or there might be some further harm to her life. So we were talking to her incessantly, and we were trying some other means to minimize the hurt on her. For example, we dig a hole here. This hole is indeed very small. It's about 60 centimeters, and in such a hole, it's about 30 meters thick of the floor, and we have to support this floor on top, and we have to relocate those ruins while avoiding any harm dealt towards her. So it took us about 1 hour, and after some communication, we asked her to cooperate with us, and with our joint efforts and close coordination, we successfully got her out. Is this the only corridor for rescue? This is the number 1 rescued person today. On the same day of our successful rescue, as you may have heard, we also have saved out another 5 previously in the same place, very similar to this environment. Of course, this position is very unique because the neighboring buildings have been damaged to some different degrees, and there might be possible secondary damage, and we have to work against such possibilities. We save people first, and we were racing against the time. Do you think it's possible to save some other people from this hole? We will keep this hole. We just dispatched another team to survey this hole and the reinforcement facilities to check the reliability. Later on, we will dispatch our team responsible for the space to continue the search and rescue. Have you probed for any sign of life? According to the information acquired and through our communication with the girl, there might be some neighbors, but as to their positions, we need precise survey in order to determine. Speaking of the girl saved out, was she in the first floor when the accident happened? She was in the first floor from the site of it. But according to her information, she was at that moment in the 3rd floor. So that was a private movie theater. I'm not sure about where she was, but according to her, she was in the 3rd floor. But after the collapse, she was crushed down to the 1st floor. So layers have been piled together. It's a very tight and compressed ruins. Yes, and this building collapsed altogether. It's not a partial collapse. That's why there are a lot of limitations for our rescuers. Be careful. Now let's move outside for a better look. We are slowly moving out. So this sits in the west side of the collapsed house, and it's on the verge of another collapse, right? Yes, indeed. We're now on the west side of the collapsed self-built house. It's a neighboring building. It's also a residential building, and I heard it shares similar construction features from that collapsed one. The eastern walls of the building sitting on the west of the collapsed house has been damaged to some degree, so it's very dangerous. Now, let's go further out. So what's your plan? Because the neighboring buildings have been compressed to some degree, how can you guarantee the safety of the rescuers and the trapped people in your plan? We have met with some experts from the field of construction, and as to the situation of the houses, we will reinforce further the buildings in order to have better protection, and our observation work will continue. If we find any special condition, we will send out signals so as to evacuate the rescuers out immediately. Of course, in the rescue process, we will have full analysis about the safety level of the positions. While we have not dispelled any hazardous points, we will not go blindly with our rescue work. Our cameraman, could you please give another shot about the collapsed house? It used to be an 8.5-storied building with a combination of bricks and the cement. Now it's completely collapsed. That's the status quo. It used to be 8 stories high. Now, after the crash, it's only 4 meters high. So it shows high density, and there will be very limited of space for us to get in, and we have to quickly probe for any signs of life. But as I said, there are some unfavorable conditions, especially considering the 2 neighboring buildings. As you can see, those 2 neighboring buildings are partially damaged, and it's very dangerous on the east side, and on the west side, the main wall has been distorted, so it's dangerous as well. We are now communicating actively with the experts to plan out our efficient rescue. So it greatly limits your area of operation. You cannot use some big machines, right? Yes, it's basically an open space, but if we enter into this building, we have very limited space of operation. And there are a lot of uncertainties and insecurity points here, even on the outside wall. We are reinforcing this structure, and if we continue our digging, there might be the possibility of secondary collapse. Thank you, Mr. Jiang. So I believe you must continue your rescue. Have you found any further sign of life? I heard there is some sign of life on the southeastern corner. We cannot stop our search for the sign of life. We are gonna go 100% out to save any people trapped, because we are all the hope they have. We have to get them out. That's our biggest hope. We hope to save as many people as possible. Discovering more signs of life is a great encouragement to us rescuers. Thank you again, and salute to all the rescuers. We look forward to more people being saved. Now let's get back to where we were. And right now, among the 23 trapped people, 6 people have been saved out, and 39 people are missing right now. The rescue work is going on, and we will continue to follow the latest information. So that's about the situation at this moment.
妹妹，你叫什么名字？你现在主要哪里不舒服啊？好，呼吸这些还好的，手可以动吗？好，都可以。好，屁股动不动，腰动不动？不动哈。好，是这样的。好，可以起来，可以起。那个。可以到车上去坐，对，因为你这样抬着这个，先拿去就好了。到车上就可以拿到车上不要了，3下可以。那么可以，现在不把有些盖子啊，意思给你把眼睛盖着。来，我戴个口罩。你要玩起来是吧？对，好，而且还是不上是吧？你不能，你适应一段时间。走那边。好的。
现在我们这名被困人员已经被成功救出，现在在对他的这个身体进行一个初步的这个检测，马上就被送到120急救车上。现在我们医护人员也是对他进行一个情绪上的安抚。
好，注意一下哈。
好的。
在抬的过程当中。
这样一名被困人员被成功的救出。好，我们现在看到的是中南大学张雅3医院的120急救车。 这位姑娘马上就被送到湘雅3医院进行一个紧张的救治。
这次救援十分困难，主要体现在3个方面：一是倒塌建筑两侧相邻建筑受到严重破坏，随时可能倒塌，给消防救援人员和避马业群众带来极大隐患；二是倒塌建筑有大量预制板、梁柱和砖块等物品，属于颓势坍塌，层层叠压，环境错综复杂，并且救援空间狭窄，只能进去少量人员，采取边加固边掘进的方式作业，以防再次发生倒塌事故，给救援工作带来极大难度。三是施救作业面受到限制，不能实现大型机械和工具作业，并且纵深推进不宜动作过大，否则就可能给避马业人员造成二次伤害。在这种情况下，我们消防救援人员只能冒着生命危险，夜以继日，争分夺秒实施救援。目前，我们正在施救的一名被困人员能与我们救援人员进行交流，力争尽快救出。下一步，我们将充分利用72小时黄金救援期，分层施救，层层剥离，最大限度解救被困人员。请大家放心，消防救援人员一定会竭尽全力，坚决尽快有效地完成救援任务，绝不放弃任何一个被困人员。好的，我认为 OK 了。好，谢谢 OK 了啊。这是救援，目前我们正在施救的一名被困人员，能1小时黄金救援期，分层施救，层层剥离，最大限度解救被困人员。
师弟来，我拍一下。那你拍没事。
有了，4米地方，3米5，应该不是你们的。
他敲击了吗？
对，信号面很明显，一直在闪。3米5的地方一直在闪。
垂直过去3米5的位置。
对，这个机子差不多就是垂直距3米5，一直在闪。这个现在微弱了，没动了。注意头顶的。
在他前面呢。
这个
应该就是那个。
他往前面摊了，他就往前面松了，应该就差不多2米的地方。好，右边有了，就你那个地方差不多有了，已经很强了，信号很强了。不需要往下了，你过来。对，有。我们从那个右侧进入那个地方可以测吗？那有个路口，我们那边再摊一下，可以吗？虽然穿个墙，但是这边可以，应该能试一下。有个昨天。
现在来看，我们这个此时此刻正在救援的这样一个地方，那透过这样一个屋子，我们看到有若干名的消防救援人员啊，正在用一些小的工具对这样一个小的倒塌的这样一个角落的地方展开救援。那根据我们的了解呢，在这里呢是发现了有3名被困人员啊，他们还有生命迹象，而且消防人员和他们之间呢已经对上了话。据消的救援工作，其实因为周边倒塌下来的这个一些加固工作，那这呢可以看到，这是这个8层楼的第1层的走廊这样一个位置。那如果走廊一个设备的显得是相当小心的，为什么要这么救援？那这个救援过程当中，此时此刻正在干什么啊？我们也是请到了
搜寻到的人员，也是在非常狭小的空间中找到的。现在我们的队员也是利用生命探测仪、雷达生命探测仪和收据卷确定他的具体位置，有3名被困人员是伤害的那个可能性，在商量一个最佳的对策去营救他。所以大家看到的我们现在是6名队员在里面，2名再次垮塌，他会发生垮塌。
好，我们也在这里给我们央视新闻的网友啊，再清晰的来认识一下这样一个现场。其实我们现在刚才通过走廊，刚才给大家展，
就是说整个垮塌的过程中呢，就是刚刚您讲的是垂直下滑，等于说从接近30米的高度塌到只有6米、7米的高度，整整的压实了接近三倍，3倍多一点。所以说整个没有空间，也没有施救的空间。所以说我们在创造这个施救的空间过程中呢，需要非常的有耐心。讲了的，刚刚我也提过，既要确保备课人员的安全，也要确保我们自己营救人员的安全。
明白。就您刚说的，其实原来30多米垮塌只剩下6、7米，就只有原建筑的1/5的这样一个高度。
对。
所以给我们救援也带来难度。您刚才说到一点，就是在里头我们的很多设备施展不给他们顶括住他们，来做一个支撑作用的。
对。
他们的这个顶压力是够的，
足够的。你看你的摄像机拍照过来，里面那个亮灯的，就我们的消防员是在匍匐前进的过程中，或者仰面的过程中，朝下去电转，根本就没有，也会有更大的风险性。所以说，首先要用蛇眼探测仪明确的掌握它的具体的位置、具体的形态，我们才能够决定我们的下一步那个营救方案。所以说，现在我能跟你说，现在能够掌握到具体时间，确实没有人可以说估计得了这个时间。
你们抬起来。
再进入1楼的一家奶茶门店。不紧张，我们已经安全出来了啊，小姑娘。
妹妹叫什么名字？
Around the clock, and also I can see the medical workers, the local community volunteers are here to try to help the people who are affected by this accident. And we are still waiting for more good news, and we will follow up with the more details in the next hours. Back to you, Xiachong.
Thank you, Piran and Changsha.
Now, 现在我们这名备课人员已经被成功救出，现在在对他的这个身体进行一个初步的这个检测，马上就被送到120急救车上。现在我们医护人员也是对他进行一个情绪上的安抚。
好，注意一下哈。
好的。
在抬的过程当中。
这样一名备课人员被成功的救出。 好，我们现在看到的是中南大学湘雅3医院的120急救车，这位姑娘马上就被送到湘雅3医院进行一个紧张的救治。